I think if you can steal the ideas from the neighboring properties, and then if you have the ability to add just a little bit, something special that they don't have, that can really make you stand apart. Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hello and welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. With me, as always, on these Wednesdays, we got Matt Jones. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing awesome. How about you, Todd?
I'm doing good, man. Just got done touring some properties. Always fun to get out there, look at what's going on in the market. These are senior assisted living deals, so we're still buying assisted living. We really like the market. It's really soft right now, so it's really interesting change from multifamily, where multifamily, man, I mean, the competition is fierce. You know, you got to be on a property immediately to make an offer quickly. You got to be aggressive. We're putting big earnest money down right away. A lot of it hard day one, no financing contingencies. I haven't seen a financing contingency in years and years and years. Just very, very competitive. And then of course the market is amazing. It's performing amazing, right? Rents are up across the country. Most markets that we're in, double digits for rent increases. Most of the residents are paying, so things are just like it's unreal in multifamily. The demand seems like it's through the roof and doesn't seem like it's slowing down anytime soon. I would caution people to think that it's not going to slow down eventually, but then we got senior housing, and senior housing right now reminds me a lot of, and I should preface, senior housing is, it's very localized, just like any real estate, but it's very localized. So if you're looking at buying a large, 200 bed, 55 plus, you're going to expect apartment type cap rates and competition. Maybe not quite that as far as the competition, but pretty close. If you're buying an independent living, maybe a slight step down, but still very, very competitive. If you're in a tertiary market though, and you're buying an assisted living or a memory care, or even a mixed type building, it's a lot less competition. The cap rates are much, much higher. We're seeing cap rates in the double digits in a lot of cases. And look, I mean, Matt, we're able to put inspection, very, very favorable inspection contingencies. We're able to put financing contingencies. We don't have to put big chunks of earnest money down. And quite frankly, we have almost no competition. So there's some of these properties where we just know, look, we don't want to pay this much. Seller's not willing to come down yet. We'll just revisit it in 6 months and see where they're at, because nobody else is going to be buying it, likely, because there's just not a lot of competition right now. I would say it's not 2008, right? It's not where like multifamily, single families were in 2008, but it's just a different market. It's soft, and that's due to COVID, and it's also due to the fact that we've got this weird lull between the baby boomer generation and the current generation that's in there, which is much smaller. But the silent generation, their population actually was increased and then decreased. And so now we're in this little decrease lull before the baby boomer generation starts to pick back up and really slam the market. So we've got this weird kind of time period where it just, to me, it's an exciting time to be a buyer. But then as an owner, so once you buy it, you have to understand you're probably going to have 3 years, maybe even longer, maybe 4, maybe 5. You better be prepared of just some times where it's a little more difficult, right? It's more difficult to get new residents in. It's just going to be an interesting time. So we can buy low, which is great, but we have to understand that it's not going up tomorrow, because if it's going up tomorrow, we wouldn't be able to buy low. That's just how it would be. So
yeah, it's on a completely different cycle than multifamily or industrial or retail or whatnot. And so, I mean, it comes with its own challenges, of course, but its own great perks and rewards as well.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, I would say right now we're in that 2000. If you look at a cycle again, we're not as in deep of a hole, but we're in that early stage of the down cycle right now, where you can buy these properties at deep discounts compared to what they were selling before. I mean, we're seeing some properties that we're buying for you know less than 50 cents on the dollar from where they previously sold. um, and so, yeah, you're buying these discounts, and will it go up? Absolutely, but it could take a while. So I think there's some opportunity right now, um, and I think the opportunity will be there for the next couple of years.
Yep, I'm excited about it too. I mean, I'm invested in one of your portfolios that you recently closed on, so I'm looking forward to the cash flow from that.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it comes flowing greatly. So that's what that's what we all hope for. But you have to understand again as you buy them that uh, you're it's harder to find residences. It's just a little more challenging environment. So it's going to take a little while longer to realize maybe as amazing gains as you want to realize. But if you believe in the long-term fundamentals, which we do, then you will realize those gains eventually.
Very good. Well, that's actually not what we're going to talk about today. As so,
We are.
often happens, we get started off on a tangent, even though we have a pre-planned topic. But what we're actually talking about is the kind of renovations that tenants in multifamily are wanting to see right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, value add is obviously still, even to this day. I mean, value add has been going on for a long time in this market cycle, and still to this day, very important. And I think new construction is really happening at a pretty high volume as well. And we're still have this inventory crunch. We'll see how long it lasts. I think with the amount of building, that's going to change pretty quickly. I think people will be surprised how quickly it does change. But when we're talking specifically multifamily, of course, there's construction in many different aspects of real estate, but we're talking specifically multifamily. One of the biggest things you want to make sure, Matt, is you don't under improve and you don't over improve. In the latter, especially because the last thing we want to do is spend all this money on a property and really not get the returns. We could have potentially spent a lot less and gotten better returns through spending a lot less because we can raise our rents almost to the same amount or maybe even to the same amount.
Yeah, I've definitely made that mistake before. I've over renovated and not seeing the realized gains from it. How can
Yeah.
we make sure that we're not over or under renovating?
Yeah. I think the best thing, well, really understanding the market, right? Understand the appetite in the market. And it doesn't mean the market in general, right? So I could say, hey, Matt, you got to do granite countertops and stainless steel appliances and this and that and the other. And you go and do that and you wasted a ton of money because I was talking about, a sub market in, let's call it the uptown neighborhood of Minneapolis, but you were going to be renovating in the central district of Dallas, right? And I don't even know if that's such a thing, but what, but you know what I mean? Like we're in totally different markets, and even could be the same as I'm talking about renovating, and I've got a property near Lake Calhoun in Minneapolis, and your property is, on the other side of the highway in the North Loop or something like that. Well, those are two totally different markets, and the residents there are maybe looking for different things, and so we got to be careful about what we're renovating and really understand the market and the sub market and even potentially the sub market depending on exactly where we're at. We want to know what type of residents we're getting in and what our expectations for those residents are, and what their expectations are for us. So
So do you go door to door with a clipboard, taking a poll, or how do you find that information out?
Well, we do go door to door, but not with a clipboard and a poll for the residents. We go door to door with a clipboard and walk the neighboring properties and understand what they've done. We want to see what our competitive set has been doing. We want to understand, here's the property that has pretty good rents, but you know, but not quite as good as some of the others. What do they look like? Here's the property that has these standard rents in the market, the top of the top. What does their property look like? So we want to get to know those properties. We also want to look at our market and understand, hey, this submarket has median household income of, $32,000. Well, that means they can spend a certain amount on rent, right? They can spend about a third of their income on rent. So they're going to spend about 10 grand a year on rent. Well, I can't charge them $1,500 a month. They're not going to be able to afford it. So I can't renovate to a $1,500 rent standard, right? I gotta do it less. So we're looking at those types of things. But yeah, door to door, clipboard, absolutely. Understand what the neighbors are doing.
Yeah, and I'm curious if there's any particular sort of general kind of things that you tend to be doing right now with renovations, like the kind of properties you're looking for are tend to be like maybe a B property in an A neighborhood, and that's quite different than a C property in a C neighborhood, like what you would actually
Mhm.
do there.
Yeah. I mean, C property in a C neighborhood, or even in a B neighborhood looks a lot different than an A neighborhood. And so my C properties, we're going to be doing a lot of the same renovations, but maybe to a lower quality. Um, an an A, I'm going to likely be putting in hard surface countertops, granite, quartz. We're likely going to be doing a tiled backsplash. Okay, we're likely going to be making sure we've got stainless steel appliances, black stainless or stainless steel appliances. We're likely going to have the most modern light fixtures possible. Um, we want both cases, we probably want fresh, new, updated paint. That's not going to be much different, right? Um, Flooring, right? Both cases, but maybe not always in the C, but both cases we're likely going to have nice hard surface flooring in most of the common spaces within the unit. So think living room, kitchen, bathrooms, that type of hallways, that type of stuff. So we're going to have like an LVP or a tile. And again, this depends on your market, right? If you're in a market, if you're in like a Florida type market, tile is really big, right? So it depends on where you're at, but you're going to have likely some sort of hard surface. So we put in a lot of LVP, luxury vinyl planking. Am I going to put in a little bit nicer product in an A class? Absolutely. I'm going to put in a little bit nicer thicker floating floor. I'm going to make sure my subfloor is in excellent condition. In a C class, I'm not going to pay as much attention to my subfloor. And I'm maybe going to do a glue down that shows a little bit of seams that, looks good, but maybe not quite as high quality, right? So a lot of the stuff, Matt, is we're doing a lot of the same stuff, but we're just doing a little bit nicer things. Cabinets, for instance. Well, we got to really look at an A class. They expect good kitchen cabinets. So we'll likely have to replace those. Okay. In a C class, we probably just paint them, clean them up, and paint them. Now, sometimes we have to replace them because they're so bad, right? But we're likely just going to clean those up. In an A class, we've got interior doors. Maybe those are old and outdated. Well, I'm going to replace those interior doors with brand new ones. Whereas C class, we're going to clean them up and we're going to paint them.
Do you ever use cinch kits to, update the cabinet?
Sure. You know, depends on the kitchen cabinets. We're actually doing this in a, I would call it an A minus type neighborhood, um, where the cabinets are in very good condition, good boxes, really solid, sturdy, and we feel like, and they're clean. They've never been painted before, so we feel like we can paint the boxes and reface all the doors of the cabinets. So we're putting in new doors, but keeping the old cabinets. And we are, there's many times where there's no upper cabinet above the fridge, for instance, or maybe it's the fridge isn't surrounded by upper cabinets. So what we're doing in those instances is we're adding some cabinets too.
Are there any like color motifs that you tend to go to for, the floors, the cabinets, the walls?
Yeah, and that's, it seems like that's pretty standard. It's, I would say my A class versus my C class. They're, and I guess right now I'm focused on more of A and B plus type class. But in my experience, when we were doing C class, the color is kind of the color, and so that's going to depend on the region you're in. But right now, in most areas of the country, gray is still okay, or the grayish, and so it's a mix between like a gray and a beige is kind of the in thing for the most part. White cabinets are still in, gray painted cabinets are in, and I would say even dark stained wood cabinets are acceptable as well. As that goes, I think it, as long as you're going to match it, and more your granites, more of your earth, sorry, your gray tones, not your earth tones like it was 10 years ago, not your browns, but more of your grays, your whites, that type of thing. Um, so yeah, yeah, but you want to make sure you're matching with what's acceptable in the market.
And when would you decide to, update the amenities, like install a pool or a dog park, that kind of stuff?
Well, again, depends on your submarket, but yeah, if your competitors have those things, you want to make sure you have it. And maybe they don't have those things, but you realize that your residents are coming with dogs. Well, put a dog wash station in place and put a dog park in place. One of the buildings we just purchased, we're putting a dog park and a dog wash station in place because that's the type of residents we're going to get. They're going to have dogs. And so I want to accept dogs. We can, by the way, we charge more for you to have a dog. So we're going to accept that dog, and we're going to provide amenities for you so you can have that dog, and we're going to attract that resident. And by the way, I find that most dog owners, or pet owners, I should say in general, are, and this is generalized, but are, seem like they have a higher level of responsibility. Of course, there's some that don't, right? But I think they're taking care of something. And so it feels like there's a good level of responsibility there oftentimes. And so why wouldn't I want a responsible resident?
And do you find that residents with pets tend to stay longer as well?
Yeah, and they oftentimes do. They stay a little bit longer. Of course, if they've got a great place to stay, right? It all depends on what they're staying in. But yeah.
So the more pet friendly you make it, the better off you're going to be for longevity of residents.
Yeah, and the other thing with pet friendly is you want to think about it. Look, Matt, if I'm going to be pet friendly, but I'm not going to provide pet amenities, not only is that bad for my residents with pets, it's bad for the residents without pets, because then the dog is pooping in the yard and nobody's cleaning it up, and they're running around. And but if I have a dog park, if we've got cleanup stations, if we have all of that stuff and it's set up for it. Not that a dog still won't crap in the yard, that happens, but it's less likely for the residents to ignore that when you actually provide them with, bags and a dog park and a dog wash station. And of course, you still have to make sure that they're being responsible pet owners, but if you start to provide that stuff, I think it helps out a lot.
And are there any other kind of renovations that you tend to do to, appease residents?
Well, when we're talking again, we're talking amenities, or just general, like, kind of common space. We really like a lot of lighting. We like a well lit property. We want the property to have whatever amenities are attractive for the residents at the time. So certainly a pool, grill, kind of a gazebo or area for them to hang out, pergola. Um, we like a fitness center, and a rec room, for residents to be able to use or rent. Um, we like washer dryer in unit if we can. Sometimes it's not possible, but a lot of times it's possible. We can add those at a fairly inexpensive cost when we look at how much money we're going to get for the rent. Right. So we might be able to get a couple extra $100, 150 extra dollars, and it only costs us a couple $1,000 to put that in. That provides us a pretty good return on our investment when you think of it. And it's not, we can't always think about our return on investment as being just how much you're going to be making on the rent. You also have to look at it. We want to understand how much we're going to be making on the rent. We also want to understand how many more residents can we get into our property? How much easier is it to rent that property because we have washer dryer in the unit versus in a laundry room that, I'm sorry, but a lot of people, they just don't want to be around other people.
Yeah, I mean, who really wants to do laundry in the laundry room? But it is
Not
what it
many
is. Yeah.
people love carrying their laundry
Mm.
basket to the laundry room to do laundry, and in the rain, or when it's 98 degrees and humid, or it's windy, or it's 25 below zero if you live in the great state of Minnesota. You don't really love walking across the property with your laundry basket to do laundry.
So it sounds like the key in all this is just to, steal the ideas of your competition in the local submarket, see what they're doing that's successful, and
I
copy
think
that.
if I think if you can steal the ideas from the neighboring properties, and then if you have the ability to add just a little bit,
Mm.
something special that they don't have, that can really make you stand apart. So do what they do, but just a titch better, just a little bit better, and you're going to be pretty successful typically.
That makes sense. I mean, when people are looking for apartments, they tend to, tour multiple locations, and if you're just a hair better, then people notice that, and they want to stay with you.
And by the way, Matt, think about what the trends are going on. What are people into? And can you add some of those things to the apartment that you have that somebody else doesn't have? If you're going, hey, I'm in a B plus class location or an A minus, go to the A, go to the next level. What amenities do they have that you don't have? What things in the units do they have that you don't have? Can you add just one or two of those? Maybe you can't do it all because you can't afford it because it doesn't make sense. But what are one or two of those things that the highest rented units have that you can add? Now, if you're in a C, don't go to an A, but go to a B and go, what do they have that the C class doesn't, that my competitors don't have? Oh, I really want to do this. You can add just that one thing that makes them feel like they've got a class step up because they're at your property. That's going to make a big difference. Big difference. And the other thing too is, like, we're talking about improvements to the property. We're talking about physical improvements, but we also want to look at what kind of services, Matt, can we add to the property? If you're in a highly Hispanic area, or whatever demographic, right? So if you've got a high concentration of a certain demographic, and maybe there's a language barrier because a lot of them don't speak very good English, whatever it might be, well, then can you add a service? Can you bring in a service, right? If there's a lot of kids, can you bring in a service to do some after school work? If it's near a college, same thing. Could you bring in some tutors, or could you do social hours, or what is going to attract residents to your property? We we oftentimes try to make sure we're doing certain social hours. We have food truck days. We do things like that that attract residents. So it's not only the amenities and what's physically going on in the units, but it's also what's actually happening on the property that's going to attract residents.
It's like you're creating a culture, a community of sorts
Right.
that people want to, be a part of and
Peop-
stay with.
Yeah. People want to stay, right? You want to make they're going to spend the most time in their unit, right? So the unit is really important to make nice. But then they also want to feel good about living there. And by the way, a lot of them won't even utilize some of the amenities you're going to use. A lot. We'll do a fitness center knowing that barely anybody's going to touch that fitness center.
Mm.
But we do it because it attracts residents. A pool, for the most part, people don't use the pool. Very few people use the pool, but we do it and we make a nice pool and we get new furniture because it attracts new residents.
Yeah, that makes sense. I suppose with a psychological factor, you see that and you're like, oh, this is part of mine, and
We
I can
love
use it. I can use it anytime I want.
Yeah, we love this stuff. Look, there's a lot of different things you can do to the properties, but I think the most important thing that you're thinking of when you're doing rent, well, actually, there's several things. So, first of all, understand how much money you can put in and what type of return you're getting. Make sure the return works. Don't over improve a property. I would rather you under improve a unit than over improve. One of the things we like to do, Matt, is we like to test. So we'll do a unit and we will put in laminate countertops. We won't tile the backsplash. We'll do some lesser work to a unit and we'll try to rent it at the highest rent possible. And we'll see what we get. And let's say we get $1,800 a month and our pro forma was 18. That's probably what we're going to renovate to. Now we might grab a unit and go, let's do the granite. Let's do all that stuff and see if we can get 2,100 for rent. And if we do, we go, okay, we just proved that we can get that, right? But if we don't, we're going to back down, right? So you can, if you can afford to, and hopefully you've set your budget up so you can, but you can test units as well. So, so I think that's something to really think of can we test? We do some test units to make sure we're spending what we should spend. The other really important thing when we're renovating units to think about is velocity. We want to get that renovation done as quickly as we can. We want to get that exterior done as fast as possible. We want to get the amenities done as quickly as possible. I like hiring different subs for different things. I'm going to hire a roofing sub for the roof, siding sub for the siding. I'm going to hire somebody to do the amenities that's different from those. We're going to hire interior crews to do the interior. If I've got high turnover, high velocity, that means I'm getting my rents up as quickly as possible. It means I'm changing the atmosphere and the feel of the property, getting people excited that they want to be there. We're changing. There's the new sheriffs in town, the new communities here. It's growing, expanding. There's people feel good about it. If we get it done quicker, our NOI increases quicker and our property value increases much faster than if we take our time and try to save money. I would rather go over budget and get done quicker than be under budget, but take way too long.
And I know you've talked before about hiring multiple crews for doing the interior renovations, because then you can compete against each other to see.
You got to be careful. You got to be careful with that. Okay. That's definitely a good strategy. I think what I've learned throughout the years here is that can work, but it also can backfire. Mm. So what I would say, and by backfiring, the contractors they've kind of they're fighting almost with each other. They're not liking it. So what I would say is, especially if your property is large enough to where you can get contractors where they're not really running into each other, that's a very good strategy. So if I've got a 350 unit property and it's laid out to where I can have a contract, especially if I can have one contractor drive in one way and the other drive in the other way. But if they can be on opposite sides of the property, that works really well. If I've got a 30 unit building and they're working on units right next to each other, I think probably don't do that. That's what I would say. So I think it kind of that is it depends.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So
Well, cool. Obviously lots of other things to be thinking about, but really just think that you got to think your bottom line, but you got to think about what your residents really want and need. And surveying current residents, by the way, is an okay thing. I don't know that you want to walk around with a clipboard and survey the neighboring properties, but surveying your current residents, that can be valuable too.
very good.
So, well, cool, Matt. Anything else?
No, that's it for today.
Awesome. Well, you have a fantastic rest of your day. Make every day Saturday.
Thanks, you too.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. But your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out, and we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.